quite a jump when it comes to the willful defaulters. Let's talk a lot more about that. The former RBI Deputy Governor K.C. Chakraborty joining us to discuss PNB's list that is put out, the shame list, and Lata will be taking us to that interview. Over to you, Lata.
Thanks a lot for that, Nayanthara, and thank you, Dr. Chakraborty, for joining us all the way from London. Publishing this list, I understand this is not new in PNB. They have done this in the past. Is this a technique or a tactic that works? Do people really cough up? Is recovery any easier?
Yeah, Lata, look, this is okay. This is a step. The bank management may be thinking that this will go in the right direction, but I have a problem. You see, nowhere in the world there is a distinction between willful defaulter and defaulter. I know if we have borrowed money from the bank, you are supposed to pay. Now, if somebody is classifying between willful and non-willful, differentiating it, the approach will not work. Because whether my will to pay or not, that is not there. Nobody will be able to judge. So I feel that if banks are interested in naming and shaming the people who have borrowed from the money from the bank, and recovered them by naming and saying, then they must declare the name of all the defaulters. Because I don't see that how a bank can differentiate, understand that who is a willful, who is a non-willful, then there is a legal issue. So every initio you are admitting, if you borrow money from the bank, and if you are not a willful defaulter, you need not repay the money, which is a very dangerous thing.
No, I don't think they mean that, sir. I don't think they mean that. Their point, we spoke to PNB sources and...
Understand.
So PNB sources told us that they are given a chance...
between these two.
I agree.
Yeah.
The people whom we spoke to in the bank said that they gave the defaulter a chance to defend himself, that their charge was that they had the resources and these guys were still not paying up. They were not the traditional victims of slowdown.
If they have resources, bank must catch hold of those resources. Now, if you are saying that if somebody has borrowed money and he has resources, then bank must attach those resources and recover the money.
I would assume that they are...
I'm not able to understand. You see, it will be very difficult. All what I'm saying, unnecessarily banks are complicating. I know. You say that if big people have borrowed money and they have not paid the money, you declare their name and you start the process, legal process. Now, the moment you are trying to say that he is a willful defaulter, first he will contest in the court that I am not a willful defaulter. I don't have capacity to pay. So the fight will go to fight this unnecessary thing. I don't think banks have the capacity to differentiate between willful and non-willful, and they should not do. They should only go after defaulters, the people who have borrowed the money who are not paying back.
Well,
that's my view. You see, look, that does not mean, and I have a different viewpoint on this from the very beginning. And nowhere in the world this happens. That's the thing. So we must try all our best to recover the money from the defaulters. That's the thing, and big defaulters, we should be more harsh.
Is there anything that you would want announced in the budget to help the banking sector itself? Recapitalization is one thing that bankers are looking forward to. Is there any other help the government can give?
You see, look, I think budget is more about income expenses. Policy announcement, yes, how to make the entire system more good borrower friendly, good customer friendly. That means not defaulter friendly. So how do you put the processes so that people who borrow money from the bank and don't pay back, they face the difficulty in the system, legal system, administrative system, those type of announcements if it come, but I don't know whether this type of announcements are within the purview of the budget or not. But that is only one area I am looking for that. And second thing, which I always saying, technical write-off should be banned in the banks. But that is that should not be allowed. And if the technical write-off is there, there should not be any tax exemption. To make the system more transparent.
Are you a little, I mean, one big surprise for me as an outsider is that none of the big guns are named. We know the top 10 indebted companies or groups, but those are not in the list. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it will surprise because you have differentiated between willful defaulter and non-willful defaulter. That's the problem.
Okay.
You
What-
will, ultimately, you will not succeed among for the big people who are the big fishes. Ultimately, finally, you will catch all the small fishes the moment you are trying to distinguish. That's what my problem is.
Some
there.
of them are
So-
big, like Winsome Diamonds and
Yes,
Zoom
some of them
developers are big guys.
The problem is that, but they will challenge first time. That is the thing. So how have you considered as
Okay.
Wilful? I
Do you
don't
think
have
one of the
capacity.
problems in the banking system is that probably bankers did not take personal guarantees? That is why you have a situation where people have the money, but because they, they have not given all that as
No,
collateral,
look,
or they have not given personal
yes,
guarantees, they are able to get away, remain rich, and yet not pay back.
Yeah, that's agree. But even where there is a personal guarantee, you will be not able to do anything because all assets have been transferred in other names. That's the problem. You see, look, legal system, there is a legal loophole. You only say that whatever is resources, whatever the other things, then you have to study that thing. But more importantly, what you have to do at the time of sanctioning loan, you should be clear. Now, for example, you are saying they are willful defaulters. Now, no bank should deal with them in the system. I mean, banks can decide itself. Now, how these people will function? If somebody's loan has been written off, somebody is willful defaulter, that means he should be declared bankrupt. Then nobody should do any banking transaction with them. Or this can be decided by the bank. And
Well-
we will be not able to do that.
Well, Dr. Chakraborty, we are out of time. Thank you very much for your spirited reply. But I guess in this specific case, what the banks is saying is that they should not have access to funds because they have funds and they are not paying back. So that is the distinction apparently that Punjab National Bank and other bankers are making between willful defaulters and other defaulters. But Dr. Chakraborty's point is taken that this will probably take the banks in another legal orbit of fighting defaulters who will claim in court that they are not willful, and therefore there is an expense of money and time and bandwidth on something quite unnecessary. Back to you, Nayantara.